Hey everybody, today's review is from the house of Guerlain. This is Encens Mythique. I have a decant which I've gotten through pretty quickly actually for the time I've had it. Let's get right into it. I have a dry down on this arm and I'll describe the opening here on this So essentially of Encens Mythique, the main notes that I pick out when they're on my skin initially is a rose note. So regardless of what it's called, it's definitely not so much an incense note as more of a rose. Now this rose is different. I can only describe it as having a peachy kind of facet, and I think that might be coming from aldehydes. It's not like a juicy, peachy note that you can smell in other perfumes. Here, it's definitely identifiable as rose, but it gives you this vision of even a peachy coloured rose or pink rose being used. But I I love the way that here the rose is light. It's not as lush and opulent as you would find in other rose perfumes. It's very light, and I know that aldehydes can sometimes give up, depending on which one it is, can give off a peachy kind of flavor or scent characteristic to whatever it's mixed with. I don't find this I don't find any other Chanel kind of aldehydes here where it can be a bit fizzy. Here it's just giving it a lovely tonal shift and characteristics. So we have rose, okay, and what happens then is when you spray it on, it feels kind of light. It's a very sheer veil of scent, and it feels like it's kind of almost floating above the surface of your skin, which kind of makes it beautiful in a way. But you could be forgiven for thinking that when you do spray this on, there is not really much to this scent, and in the way of notes, structure, I would say, yeah, it does feel like that. What then happens is that it starts to transition, and I do pick up an incense note in here, but rather than encompassing the whole composition, it kind of acts as a thread to take you from that rosy aldehyde opening through into the dry down. It's like a little thread pulling the opening along, and suddenly you find yourself into this dry down, which to me is actually so interesting, this dry down, because it starts to get musky and sweet. And by musky, I'm not even talking about clean musk or dirty musk for that matter. I guess what I'm smelling might be this ambergris accord that's in here, because it has all the characteristics. I've only ever smelled ambergris tincture once a while ago, and I didn't retain enough of what I smelled in my mind. But from what I read about it, this has all those characteristics. There is a sweetness, there is a hint of saltiness, there is a muskiness, and this is just a beautiful transition into this part of the scent. And so there is the sweetness, there is, what I want to say is it's not earthy, it's kind of organic, it's kind of living, and it has this beautiful almost fresh skin like aspect to it as well. So Ensemble Mythique is very deceptive, and I want to say that if you are ever going to consider trying this out, please, please wear this at least a couple of times on your skin, because what happens on my skin, and I think I've heard the same thing from other people, is that this kind of snowballs, right? So, but what I mean by that is that it almost has the opposite effect to how a lot of other perfumes perform on my skin, where they start off very strong, and then depending on how long they last, it's a slow fade. Ensemble Mythique seems to start off light and airy, and then it just like builds and builds until you realize 8 or 9 hours later that you're smelling something really strongly, and I think it's that base. It's a beautiful illusion that's been created with this scent. The main accords, as I said, are this beautiful light peachy rose, with a hint of incense, and then into this musky ambergris base. I don't smell too much more. I think probably I don't pick up a lot of spiciness in this scent, but I think things like pink peppercorn are used to enhance that rose and aldehyde opening as well. But as I said, this builds momentum on your skin, and then you suddenly realize that you've been smelling it for a good 8 hours in my case, and it seems to be stronger than it was in the opening, and you catch wafts of this all through the day, and sometimes I've caught myself thinking, what smells so good? And I realize I've been wearing Ensemble Mythique. So it's a real shapeshifter, and like visually, the way I would describe this scent also is it's like looking through frosted glass. You can make out movement and shapes on the other side of it without getting all the detail, and that's how I smell Ensemble Mythique. Everything is there and present and imperceptible in a way, but that's okay, because the point of this perfume, I think, is that the sum is way greater than the parts. It's created something lovely, and it's kind of a really hard perfume to get across to people if you're trying to describe it. Yes, the opening is light and airy. It builds into something more substantial, but never ever gets too heavy, and at the same time performs really well and projects pretty well because I continue to smell it. I just think it's a beautiful illusion of a perfume that is definitely worth sampling. But as I said earlier, if you sample, please test this on your skin, wear it, not even just wear it on your hand, actually wear it, and see what it does to you. This is a beauty from that particular line from Guerlain, and I like it enough to want a full bottle myself. That's my review of Ensemble Mythique. Let me know your experience with this perfume or any from the Orient line, and that's it from me. I'll see you all later. Bye.